Okay, so am I saying this wrong? Am I stuttering? I don't know. My hard to understand. So 3 times in 3 weeks now, I've been asked to consult on missing person stuff, and that's fine. I mean, please, by all means, don't stop calling. However, listen to what I have said before, and a lot of this stuff is pretty easy to solve, pretty easy to find. So right over here, this is from about 2 years ago. Um, Person jumped off this bridge, went into the water. The water flow at the time was about 9,500 CFS. So ripping through there so fast, I wouldn't dive it, that's for sure. So there's two bridges. This is just a man bridge. Over here used to be a track bridge, and then this is a rail trestle bridge. So it's a really popular place for people to jump off, go into the water, and swim around. It's a good time. And I've done it before when I was younger. However, with the water flowing at this rate, it's very, very dangerous. And you've got to consider a whole bunch of other things when you're doing this. Also, wear a friggin' life jacket. Jumping off something that big with that much distance between the bridge and the water, life jackets are always smart. Okay, so this is the initial look right here. You can see the main current on the right side going down under this bridge. And then back here in this corner, there's a big eddy right there. So the water comes through here, swirls around, stalls right there, and then you've got this nice eddy. But also right here, if you look at this, so we're coming right through here. See how the water swirls a little bit right here? You can actually see the coloration. So the main current's right here, comes around, you've got this eddy right here, and then it flows around, and then you've got another larger one right here. And yeah, it's rough. That water is really dangerous. The people that were doing this before jumped in, they got out just fine. They didn't have any problem. I think the person, our decedent here was, this was the second time they had jumped, and the second time they weren't as lucky as the first time. Okay, so right here, this is the spot. This is the view from where they jumped in. You can see right here on the right-hand side again, right next to the channel. And then you got this backflow, back pressure right here. And then that big, massive eddy. And then over here, you can actually see where the water is kind of turning and churning up under itself. Ultimately, if you go in here and you hit that channel, it's going to fling you out. The river really widens up down here, 100 yards or so. And then you've got the water is just barely moving because you've got an eddy. So eddies are, basically it's hydraulic swirl. Water moves around in a circle, slows the flow down. That's why a lot of people will fish in the eddies, because the fish can sit there without fighting the current. They're more likely to bite if they're not fighting the current. Make sense? Okay. So anytime you have a bend in the river, anytime you have a big snag like a rock, or like here where you've got this pylon, or this debris buildup right here, you can see right there is an eddy. And there's also one right here behind it. But I want you to take a look right in here where this discoloration is. See, all of that is sand buildup. The sand is churning up from the bottom, and it's creating this chocolate milk kind of look to the water. And then right here, the water's a lot clearer. Water's clear right here. This is actually deeper than it is over here where it looks clearer. So it's just that hydraulic pressure as it's churning and moving up. Now, this next one I'm going to show you, this is a video I actually took at the time that this happened. And why can't I open this? Oh, yeah, computers are going to fight me today. All right.
Okay, so I'm up here. This is
I'm gonna pause
the
this,
spot where
go back to the, all right. Now, what I did is, this is what I want you guys to do for me if you want me to help consult on something like this. If it's possible, if it's safe, I don't want you doing anything dangerous or stupid, but if it's safe, come up and do a quick video and give me the lay of the land so we can see basically what's going on here. And a lot of stuff you're going to hear me say, I've said in the other videos. This was for me to double check. I never just go with what I think. I always have somebody check my work and make sure that I'm not missing something. So let's play this and see what we get.
he jumped, he was right next to that tri-pillar as it comes down together, kind of on the trestle, right down there in between this one and this one.
Okay, so right there. So see where this eddy is, and it's swirling and churning. All right, and how clear the water is right here. Now, if you hit this spot anywhere from here to the shore, you're going to get ejected out right down river from there.
So last seen is approximately right there where that swirling water is, and it comes over into this eddy right here. And then
okay, so see right here, let me back this up just a hair. Pop. All right, right there. All right, see how that is just the pressure as that water is churning and rolling has got to be pretty immense. Again, 9,000, 9,500 CFS is what the water flow pressure was going through here. And then you've also got this here. So this is a really treacherous spot. You've got multiple eddies and all kinds of crazy flow going on.
And I'll get you some video on the other side here shortly. So
okay, right here, see how calm that water is? This is a shallow spot, but you've got another eddy here and a little one right here. So this is eddy upon eddy upon eddy, independently flowing as it's hitting this debris, as it's hitting the bridge pylons, all kinds of things in here to make this really crazy.
Swam around this area a couple times. The friend tried to pull him out. The friend actually was able to go into the current over there and get onto those rocks. So as he was in, they went around in a big circular motion from here around this eddy, brought back up to the bridge support on this side, came back over, went right there. So the water was swirling them around right through here as they were trying to swim out. So there's a lot right here. I'm going to do a water bottle test here shortly. Okay, so I'm up here. This is...
Pause that. All right. So what this did is it gave the person that I had checked my work, they were actually able to see all of this. And from this vantage point right here where we've got this still, you get to see most of what's going on in the water. So if you've got dogs, if you can get dogs, what you want to do is have them downstream a little bit. And right here, there's a bunch of trails back through this brush and through these weeds. So we were able to get the dogs right down into this area, and the dogs were indicating that there was somebody in here. And that's where they were. Everybody else was looking miles downriver, miles and miles downriver. So with this flow, you would think, yeah, sure, it's going to send them down. That's not the way this works. Once your lungs fill with water, you sink. And then 24 to 48 hours, depending on water temperature, that's when we start to get bloat and float. But this was, right afterward. There's all kinds of debris down here. There's also the sand. So when a human hits the bottom, they're going to get that sand start to build up on top of them. So it's going to make it even more difficult for the body to float, even with extreme decomposition and a lot of air trying to force them to the surface. So if you're going downriver, 4 or 5, 6 days, again, depending on water temperature, looking for somebody that's, potentially been dislodged from bloat and float, look at the eddies. Follow the current. You've got to learn to follow the current and the flow pattern. The other thing I was talking about, the water test or the water bottle test, that gives me a ton of information when I'm doing this. So I take just a regular water bottle, drink half of it, and then I throw it into the water. Get it as close as I can to point last seen, and then watch what it does. A half full water bottle has a tendency to follow the same current path as a human. So I'm not going to show you the video. We actually have video of this person jumping in. We have their last words. We have all that stuff. Very tragic, very distasteful for me to put that out there. And a lot of times we don't want to put out there that we're doing this stuff. Aside from you can reach out to us when we're successful and we've had a recovery, whether or not it's a consult or hands-on. We try and be as tasteful as we can with the whole thing, which can be difficult. From a fundraising standpoint, obviously, it makes a lot more sense for us to, jump up there, take victory laps, and say, "Hey, look how cool we are, and look what we did." But it is what it is. So what happened here, we had the dogs indicating. We tried going through here with the jet boat. I actually got ejected from the jet boat and got beat up. We were using a drag bar with big hooks that I had made in my garage the night before I went out to do this. And so we got out there, got in the current, threw the bar out there, caught it, drug it along. And one of those times we just hit something really, really hard. Took a 1-inch steel tube bar and bent it in a V shape. When we hit, I went over the edge. Fortunately, I was wearing a life jacket. So I wound up in the current going right through here, and I popped up here. They wound up pulling me out a couple miles downriver because, I was wearing a life jacket and just went with the flow. Also, instead of trying to swim to the side, I wanted to kind of see where I would float with a life jacket on. It is what it is. So after we bent the drag bar and it was no longer useful for throwing it out the back of the boat, we got up here on this side of the walking bridge and started throwing hooks out on lines and started dragging this section right here. About 30 minutes into that process, one of the volunteers hooked something and they wanted me to see what it was. I threw another hook, about 3 or 4 throws. I hit what they were on, and it was meat. I couldn't be sure that it wasn't a deer or a dog or something like that, but I've done this enough to know what it feels like to hook meat with one of these hooks on a rope. So at that point, I tied off the line, got all the volunteers to leave, got the family to leave. They were not too far away at the time. I did get them to stay back because if we did discharge something, I did not want them to see, a loved one hooked, especially if we caught them with a drag bar. Anyway, got everybody to leave. I went to the local gas station, called the sheriff, told him where it was. I had the line hooked up with a buoy. By the time the deputy got there, the line was gone. Person showed up the next morning, mile and a half or so downriver, caught in a log jam. So with what we were doing, throwing the lines right across through here, we'd hooked them, and I think we discharged them. I think that's what happened, because we were pulling pretty hard on those ropes, trying to get them to discharge, but we also knew we were doing heavy tissue damage doing it. So, we want to preserve as much of the remains as we can for the family and for the coroners so they can see what's going on. Anyway, all of that said, look at the water, see where the water's flowing. At most, if this water is really, really deep and pushing through this hard, you might get 100 yards. And that's crazy, crazy far. The first few days, they're going to be right in here. So there is a chance that they could have gone down here, popped up in one of these eddies. There's several more bends in the river, a lot of snags, a lot of debris. They could have wound up down there. But when I threw the water bottle in, it right where that person jumped, right about the impact, and from what I could see in the video, the water bottle did exactly what it looked like it was going to do. Swirled right here, got stuck right in this spot right here, and stayed there for a second. It actually went underwater and then popped up right here and then just kind of swirled around. I mean, the water bottle didn't go downriver for about 5 minutes. It just swirled in this area. So anyway, do the basics. There's nothing fancy where I am at right now. There's, dishes behind me and a cupboard and a coffee pot. There's no special technical gear or anything like that in here. It's just doing the nerd work. Sit at your computer, look at the video. If it's something remote and you want a consult, by all means, reach out. I'm happy to do it. Videos like this are really, really helpful. Last Scene is really, really helpful. But again, they're not going to go very far in those first few days. And even when you start to bloat and float, people tend not to, or bodies, even animals, tend not to pop right up to the surface. They tend to get a little bit of buoyancy and travel, a foot or two above the bottom as they're in that initial float stage of decomposition. And so they're very likely to get caught up in snags. So most of the time, even if you've got a bloat and float, you're talking 5,000 or 500 yards downstream. again, typically don't go very far, even if the body is floating. So, all right, that's all I've got for today. Please, if you want to help us out, help us continue to help people out, recover bodies, help our veterans and first responders, our heroes struggling with PTSD. Go to heroesdivingforthesea.org. Buy some raffle tickets. We got cool raffle items. Like, share, and subscribe to our videos. All that stuff. Please donate as well. Every few bucks helps us immensely. So we will see you in the next video. Be safe, have fun, take care of each other, and for God's sake, wear your damn life jackets, please.